The reason you try to fix everyone around you is not what you think. You tell yourself it is because you have a big heart or because you were the only one in the room with enough clarity to see the solution. But that is a comforting lie your brain uses to protect you from a much sharper truth. The reality is that your obsession with repairing other people is a sophisticated survival mechanism designed to keep you from having to feel your own internal chaos. If you're the kind of person who feels a physical itch in your chest when a friend is making a bad decision, or if you find yourself staying up until 3 in the morning drafting a resume for a partner who did not even ask for your help, this is going to feel like an intervention you never wanted. You are not just being helpful. You are using other people as a project to avoid the terrifying silence of your own unfinished business. You probably never say this out loud, but you feel like the world would stop spinning if you let go of the wheel for even a second. This hits harder if you grew up as the kid who had to be the adult before you were even a teenager. You learned early on that your value was tied to your utility. If you could keep your mother from crying or keep your father from losing his temper, then you were safe. Peace was not something that just existed in your home. It was something you had to manufacture through constant surveillance and strategic intervention. You became a master at reading the microscopic shifts in a person's facial muscles or the heavy silence of a room. You did not develop empathy because you were a saint. You developed hyper-vigilance because you were a soldier. And now, as an adult, you are still in that foxhole, looking for the next explosion to diffuse. Think about the last time you saw someone you love struggling. Maybe they were venting about a toxic job or complaining about a relationship that has been dead for years. Instead of just listening, your brain went into overdrive. You started building a 5-point plan. You felt a surge of adrenaline as you offered advice, and when they did not take it, or when they made the same mistake the next day, you did not just feel frustrated, you felt personally insulted. You felt a deep, simmering anger that they would dare to stay broken when you had provided the glue. That anger is the first clue that this is not about them. It is about your need for the world to be orderly so that you do not have to feel the lack of control you have over your own heart. When was the last time you let someone fail without trying to catch them? And how much did it hurt you to watch it happen? The mechanism at play here is something psychologists call emotional displacement. It is much easier to manage someone else's messy divorce or career crisis than it is to look at your own deep-seated loneliness, or your fear that you are actually unremarkable. As long as you are the savior, you are the one in the position of power. You are the competent one. You are the stable one. By making yourself indispensable to the broken people in your life, you create a dynamic where they can never leave you because they are too reliant on your management. It is a form of control disguised as kindness. It is a way of ensuring you are never abandoned, because who would ever walk away from their own life support system? But there is a high price for being the janitor of other people's souls. You eventually realize that you have surrounded yourself with people who only know how to take, and you are the only one who knows how to give. You feel a crushing exhaustion that sleep cannot fix. You look around at your life and realize that you have built a museum of other people's potential, while your own dreams have been gathering dust in the basement. You are tired of being the strong one, but you are terrified of what happens if you stop. You worry that if you stop fixing people, they will realize there is nothing else to you. You fear that your only identity is the help you provide. The most uncomfortable truth of all is that by trying to fix everyone, you are actually robbing them of their own growth. When you jump in to solve a problem for someone else, you are sending them a subconscious message that you do not believe they are capable of doing it themselves. You are treating the people you love like broken appliances rather than sovereign human beings. You are stealing their lessons and their rock bottoms and their ultimate triumphs. You are standing in the way of their evolution because their pain makes you too uncomfortable to watch. Your help is not an act of service. It is an act of self-regulation. You are fixing them so you can stop feeling their pain. Tell me the one thing in your own life you are ignoring by focusing so intensely on the problems of everyone else. You likely notice that you are drawn to a specific type of person. You find the underdogs, the misunderstood, and the chronically chaotic. You see their potential like a beacon, and you tell yourself that if you just love them hard enough or organize them well enough, they will finally become the person you know they can be. But potential is just a polite word for what is not there. You are in love with a version of them that does not exist, and you are punishing the version of them that actually does. You spend years of your life trying to reach a finish line that they are not even running toward. And when they inevitably fail to meet your expectations, you feel a sense of martyrdom. You tell yourself you gave them everything, and they gave you nothing back. But you have to ask yourself why you were so desperate to give to someone who never asked for it. The nervous system of a fixer is always in a state of high alert. Your body is stuck in a loop of trying to anticipate the next crisis. You find it impossible to relax because relaxation feels like negligence. If you are not doing something to improve your surroundings or someone's life, you feel a sense of existential dread. This is why you are the one who cleans up the kitchen at a party or the one who spends your vacation answering emails for a colleague. You are addicted to the hit of dopamine that comes from being needed. It is the only thing that makes the background noise of your own anxiety go quiet. If you were to stop right now and sit in a room with no one to help and no one to manage, what would happen? You would probably feel a wave of panic. You would feel a sense of emptiness that feels like it might swallow you whole. That emptiness is what you have been running from your entire life. It is the part of you that was never told you were enough just for existing. It is the part of you that believes you have to pay a rent for the space you occupy on this earth. You have been paying that rent by fixing everyone else, but the bill never seems to be settled. The tragic irony is that the more you fix, the more you isolate yourself. True intimacy requires two people who are willing to be seen in their mess, but you refuse to let anyone see yours. You keep your struggles behind a veil of competence. You show up for everyone else's crisis, but you never let anyone show up for yours, because that would mean being vulnerable, and being vulnerable means giving up control. You have plenty of people who rely on you, but you have very few people who truly know you. You are the most popular person in the room, and the loneliest person in the world. You have spent so much time looking at the cracks in other people's foundations that you have forgotten how to look at your own. You have become a specialist in a life that isn't yours. You are an expert on your partner's trauma and your best friend's attachment style and your siblings' self-sabotage, but you are a stranger to your own desires. You have forgotten what you actually like to do when you aren't being productive or helpful. You have become a ghost in your own story. This pattern is not something you can just decide to stop doing tomorrow, because it is woven into the very fabric of how you see yourself. It is your armor and your identity and your weapon. To stop fixing would mean to admit that you are just as fragile as the people you have been trying to save. It would mean admitting that you cannot control the outcome of your life, and that sometimes people you love will make terrible choices, and there is absolutely nothing you can do to stop them. It would mean accepting that the world is a chaotic and often broken place, and that your primary responsibility is not to mend the world, but to tend to the small garden of your own soul. As you sit here now, you might feel a sense of resistance. You might be thinking of all the reasons why your situation is different, or why the people in your life truly do need you. That is your ego trying to protect the only role it knows how to play. But listen to the exhaustion in your bones. Listen to the quiet resentment that has been building up in your chest like sediment. That resentment is a message. It is telling you that you are living a life that is out of balance. It is telling you that you are trying to carry a weight that was never meant for your shoulders. You have spent your entire life being the light for other people while you sat in the dark. You have been the bridge that everyone else walked across to get to safety while you stayed in the middle of the river. You have been the hero in everyone's story but your own. You have to ask yourself what you are so afraid of finding if you finally put down the tools and stopped trying to repair the people who aren't even asking to be fixed. You have to wonder if the reason you are so obsessed with everyone else's potential is because you are too terrified to face your own. The silence that follows the end of a project is always the hardest part for you. That is why you are already looking for the next person to save before the current one has even finished thanking you. You are a professional runner, and the thing you are running from is the version of yourself that is allowed to be messy, and allowed to be wrong, and allowed to be helpless. You have spent decades building a fortress of competence, but a fortress is also a prison. You are trapped inside your own ability to handle everything. If you were not the one who fixed everything, if you were not the one who had the answers, and if you were not the one who everyone could count on to be strong, what would be left of you?